Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Renew Your Mind podcast. We are back again with another episode, and we're here with the one and only Mr. Josh Love Talk. Love Talk. Josh Love Talk. So, if you have been a consistent follower of the blog, you know that he has been on here before. You might not have seen his face, but you have definitely heard his voice. He was the first ever guest, unofficial guest that we had, but now he's come back, and we're so excited to have him share his wealth of knowledge. We're going to be going into a different parts of this, what he started off with. So we did the Before the One series. So now we're going to be going into, some other aspects of finding this one. So before we start, I'll let Mr. Josh introduce himself once again to those that might not know you, what you're all about, and everything.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh. I run a dating relationship, you can call it page, site, community, and that's Josh Love Talk. And it's really centered around how to date better, how to date more intentionally, and getting the best out of dating. I'm using my experience as obviously someone that's now married. It's going to be 10 years in May with two lovely little ones. Using my experience to help people navigate the dating world, the relationship world, what to expect, just some of the things that you're probably not paying attention to that is getting in your way when it comes to finding the right person. And so I just give tips. I don't know it all, but just my own perspective and what makes sense to me. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you
Me.
so much.
Thanks for having me on the
Oh,
pod.
absolutely. Like it's a pleasure. So one of the things we like to do here is I ask the guest, whoever the guest is, to share any kind of resource that they're using to renew their minds. So it could be a book you're reading, a podcast you're listening to, an album or a particular artist, a song. So different kind of sources of inspiration. What are you using to renew your mind in this current season?
Okay. Well, thankfully I was reading something because if I wasn't, that would have been a very awkward question.
Most people just say the Bible or something like that, but
um, I came across this book called Psycho Cybernetics by
Ooh,
Matt Water, I think his name is.
okay.
And it's a book about self-image, building your
Okay.
self-image. Is the premise of the book is basically you cannot achieve or do anything in life that steps outside how you see yourself. So whatever it is you're going to be,
Yeah.
and it applies across whether it's relationship, career, family, every aspect of life, your goals,
Yeah.
it all centers around the image you have of yourself. If you don't think you can, you wouldn't. It doesn't matter how much
Mm.
motivational books you listen to, how much you talk yourself into it. If you don't see yourself as that
Mhm.
person, you're never gonna be it.
Wow.
And it's a very, very inspirational book. I listened to the audiobook and then I had to
Mhm.
go buy the physical copy because it was that good.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's something I'm reading through at the moment.
So
Cybernetics.
psycho cybernetics by
Just
Max
have it on my
Water.
page. Give me a second.
Oh wow, that's amazing. And it's so funny you say that because that idea of like envisioning the future you want for yourself. Oh, awesome. See guys, screenshot that book, go get it. That's amazing. Wow. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. That's a real nugget. Like thank you for sharing that. Wow. So I guess from our last episode too, I can tell you're very much into psychology. I know you had you talked about doing a counseling course before
Mhm.
you went to be a counselor and things, and I
Yeah.
can kind of I see those traits in you a little bit. So yeah, no, that's a really good book. I'm still thinking about it. Like, all right. So this episode is we're pretty much, as I said, doing a follow up about from the Before the One series. So
Yeah.
if you've not followed the Before the One, we spoke about different things. You talk about, going through in your single years, what it's like to online date, the things you should look out for as a single Christian, so to speak, biblical leadership, biblical submission, dealing with rejection and heartbreaks. So now, let's say we're painting the scenario. The Lord has done it finally. Hey, finally, you have now found somebody, or somebody has found you.
Yeah.
And because I know that different people are at different stages of life, so I can't just focus on the one area. Is we have to look at different stages of life. So say
Hmm.
someone had, they're in a relationship, or not even say relationship, they found somebody that they like to talk with, they're having
Yeah.
discussions, which is what a lot of these things turn out to be, right? You have loads of talking stages, and
Okay,
when
stage.
you don't have, exactly, when you don't navigate it well, that's how it turns into situationship, or
Yeah.
they friend zone you. But we are trying to get to the promised land, which is, committed
Relationship,
relationship.
marriage.
So how do we navigate? How do you make sure that you don't end up in the friend zone or the situationship, but you end up in the committed stage?
Oof, that's a loaded one. Okay.
I
So
know. I'm sorry.
it's fine. So my thing, once you start talking to somebody, let's say you found your person, right? You start talking to the person, as you guys, as it's called, talking stage. For me, don't that is not the point to sort of rest on your laurels and just think, oh, this is just going to go,
Hmm.
just going to swim in the direction of relationship. You have to be intentional about what
Hmm.
you're looking to do. And for me, the first thing is, as best as you can, trying to find out if both of you want the same thing. That's
Hmm.
for me always the number one thing. Because sometimes we mistake attraction or attention for somebody wanting to commit to somebody wanting to commit to us or wanting the same thing as us. People can like you just because you're nice. You have the right energy. It doesn't mean they're emotionally available. It doesn't mean they're ready for a relationship. It doesn't mean they even want a relationship with you. They can just like you because you're just
Good
attractive
vibe.
and you're a nice person, right? So
Hmm.
don't get carried away by the attraction side of things. Just that's good, but focus on, do we both want the same thing? Are we going in the same direction? Easier said than done, and it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. That's why don't move too fast. And don't move too fast. Don't jump into conclusion. Don't say, oh, because this person is calling me all the time, or this person is taking me on dates, therefore they must be the right one. They can do that because they can, right? It doesn't mean that their intentions are still right. It doesn't mean that they still want the same thing as you. So you have to be asking the right questions when you're dating, and that's really finding out more about them, finding out more about what they want, and most importantly, say what you want from the start. A lot of people go with the flow,
Yeah.
and I don't. This happens to women more than guys because men are the one that leads most dating situations, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, a, a number of women just make assumptions. You guys, I believe, anyways, and from the conversation I have with women, I believe that you guys make assumptions and then you share it with your girlfriends. You don't necessarily talk to the guy about what you want. Oh, he's calling me every day. What does that mean? Oh, then the girl says, oh yeah, if he's calling every day, he must be interested. He might not be. Men
But
are
they,
wired different. So, but from the jump, you have to be saying what you want. Like, I'm looking for a relationship, or you might not be, but whatever it is you want, make it known from the jump that this is what I'm looking for, and then let him also confirm that he wants the same thing. What you find is when you're that open, that honest, and once you're that honest about what you want, and you back it up with not accepting anything different, you start to sort of you filter out the ones that are going to waste your time.
yeah.
Because what happens is when you say something to someone, they want to see how serious you are. So they will just carry on. But once you back it up and they see that, okay, this person's not going to take this, if they're not serious about you, they will just leave it. It's too much stress, right? Situationship happen when you say something and then your action contradicts what you say. I'm looking for a relationship, but you're doing situationship things. So, you know, it's not going to work. So for me, if I'm going to summarize everything I just said, don't get carried away by attraction, feelings. Ask the right question. Make sure both of you want the same thing. Say what you want from the jump and back it up.
Yeah.
If they're not in the same lane as you, there's no point staying there. You're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Don't chase anybody, don't try to change anybody's mind. This is what you want. If they can give it to you, let's see how it goes. If they cannot give it to you, that is not the right person for you. And it doesn't matter how much you like them, it doesn't matter how much you think they're the right person. If they don't want the same thing as you, they're not the right person. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, that's so powerful, and I think that as well kind of links in with what you said in the first part one, the before the one series, where you spoke about once you know your own inherent value. So once you've placed and you state clearly that this is what I want, and if this
Yeah,
person can't meet up to that, because you know your value, you're like, well, okay, you can't meet up, peace. It go be nice knowing you. I'm gonna head
yeah,
out and I'm gonna go find someone that can actually meet up to those, what I'm looking for.
exactly.
So everything kind of all links together. So yeah, no, that's wonderful. Um, Now, so you'd said something about the idea of stating clearly what it is that you want, right? And I know sometimes guys see that differently from girls. So, say for example, now you and this person have had those kind of conversations, right? Where you lay down on the table, this is what I'm looking for, this is what this person's also looking for, and you think, okay, we're
Yeah,
kind of aligned, but still you're in that kind of fuzzy state where you're still just both are still trying to navigate, okay, what is this, maybe you don't know if you're like praying or seeking God's face, and you're just like,
yeah,
okay, hi, what's going on? Like, I'm waiting for you to lead. Like, what, And I have a couple of friends that've been in this kind of situation, right? Where it's just like, okay, you're trying so hard not to let your emotions get ahead of you. And for females, it can be very hard,
yeah.
even in relationships that I've been in the past that you never even get to that level. Like, I know how much my emotions have gotten ahead of me, right? So it's like now seeing somebody that meets those things that you desire, those things that you like, but it feels like things aren't moving, right? So what do you do in that situation, both for the girls, right, and then from the guys' perspective, where they're also trying to yes, you're both on the same page, but you're still trying to see certain signs, trying to see, okay, how can we really do life together?
Yeah.
What would you give? So from the girl's perspective, how do we manage our emotions and our feelings such that we don't get ahead of ourselves? We still let the guy, initiate and do all of that. But from the guy's perspective as well, what are the things that they should be doing to first of all reassure, but also make sure that they have all the information they need to make an informed decision?
Okay. I'll start from the guys one because I feel like the guys part is probably the easiest part, and maybe because I'm also a guy.
Okay.
Um, not maybe I am a guy. From I feel, and I'm sure most guys would agree, men are straightforward when we know what we want. If you ever come across and think back to the relationships that you've been in this phase, when a guy knows that this is who I want, as a woman, you don't even need to do anything. You don't need to overthink anything because he will just things will progress in such a nice way. And I can give you so many examples of this of people that I know. Once he knew that this is the woman I want to be with, for
Yeah.
whatsoever reason that made them decide that, it's not complex at all. He's intentional. He reassures her. Things are progressing. There's no games. There's no maybe not, no mixed signals. When a guy knows that you're the right person, he progresses. The others, I'm waiting on God to speak. Waiting on Holy Spirit. I'm trying to see how it goes. Let's find out. Is not to say it's not. I want the extreme and say he's not interested at
It's
all.
not right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a thing of he's not sure, right? Or he has options, or there's something else in his mind. Like you're not the person. You might be one of the people, but you're not the person. And
Not an option. Oh
I
Lord.
mean, do with that what you will. I mean, in some cases you can stick it out and find out. In some cases, you might just push on. So that's what I'm saying. Like for guys, it's not as complicated. That's why I want to answer the guys one first. Once a guy knows that this is the person I want, he just makes it happen. He makes it happen. And I would like to hear from the guys that listen to your podcast, or even women that are currently in relationships, how things moved on. And I'll be shocked if anyone disagrees with me. Now for women, sorry, what's the women's part again? Just remind me.
So for women, how do women navigate their emotions in the state of waiting? Because you can't rush it, right? You're waiting for this
Yeah,
guy to maybe make that commitment or say whatever. So how do you make sure that your emotions don't get ahead of you? Number one, you're not like being cold because you're trying to like guard yourself,
yeah,
right? Protect yourself against potential heartbreak. But number two, you're also not like chasing, be like, oh, texting him and or just doing too much. So yeah.
yeah. So emotions get. I'm no woman, so I stand corrected. But I feel like the emotions get ahead of you because you're invested. And just like most things in life, once we get invested in something, the more we get invested in it, the more difficult it becomes to walk away.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to be conscious of not investing too soon. You have to be conscious of not investing too soon. So take your time, and if you're not getting what you're looking for, have a conversation about it. The worst thing you can do is sit there, be making assumptions of what is, what could be, what should be. Don't make assumptions. Have the conversation. You're also a stakeholder in this thing. Don't wait and say because the man is leading, so I'm just gonna sit back and see where he drives me to and where I end up. You it's because it's your time, and it's also your life, and it's your feelings, it's your emotions, it's your heart that's on the line. So, and that is yours to guard, that is yours to take care of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying in the sense of, because of course when you like somebody, once you feel like somebody is the right person for you, you don't want to mess it up, you don't want to come across too fast, you almost trying to like play it cool in a way, which is fine, but at the same time you cannot be passive about it. You have to have a conversation. And once you start being bold about what you're looking for, you'll be surprised how many guys actually are honest with you. Because when I say honest, they might not necessarily say, "Oh, I don't like you" or whatever. They'll just ghost you and just leave. And that's fine, because at least you did not waste your time,
You know where you're at. Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
what I see with some women is they are in this thing of, okay, let's just see how it goes. So they're doing everything. They're going on dates. They're meeting the guy. In some cases, the sex is involved, but there is no commitment. The guy is obviously just doing nice stuff. He's there, but there is no commitment. And the woman is just hoping that one day, now this is going so well, let me not ruin, let me not disrupt it. Let me just keep following along. And then you're there for 6, 8 months. In some cases, a year, and then it doesn't work out. This same guy meets another woman, and within 3, 4 months, he's in a relationship. So
Yeah.
and that's why you have to be intentional, and especially when you get to a certain age, like, you just have to speak your mind. You have to speak up. Like, okay, I don't want to waste my time. Let me know what this is. We've been
Yeah.
talking for some time now. Cool. What what are we doing? I want to take things slow. Before- I don't have the time to take things slow. Let's decide what we're doing. And
Yeah.
I think guys also find themselves in this situation, because this is not necessarily just limited to women, because some
Yeah.
guys
Oh yeah.
also, they're pursuing a woman, and a woman is just sort of playing them, giving them mixed signals. It's the
Yes.
same,
Oh
it's
my
the
god.
same thing. So you
Yeah.
have to just say, this is what I want. If they're not ready for it, then they're just not the right person for you, and that's fine. It's better to know as soon as possible and deal with the disappointment and the heartbreak 3 months
Yeah.
in, than investing over 6, 8 months, a year, and this person just is not the right person for you, and they move on with their life, and then you're just there saying,
Yeah.
dating is the ghetto.
And that's how these narratives begin, right? This is
Yeah,
where it comes from. As well. Till we help all of us.
it's
Yeah,
it's
no,
it's, it's
thank
not as it's not simple. Obviously, it's easier said, but
yeah.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
It has to be done because, like I said, it's your feelings, it's your emotions on the line, it's your
Mhm.
heart on the line, it's your life on
Yeah.
the line, it's your time. Most importantly, you will not get it back.
Yeah.
You would not get it back. And you have to secure that. That is your responsibility. And
Mhm.
I don't think people really pay attention to that as much. You
Yeah.
don't realize how important your time is when it comes to dating. You cannot waste it. You cannot allow somebody else to waste it and then get bitter and say, "Oh, men is this or women are this."
Yeah.
You're responsible. You can walk away. Yes,
Mhm.
people should do right. Yes,
Yeah.
people should make their intentions clear and be honest from the jump, but you
Mhm.
cannot control that. You
Mhm.
cannot control what somebody else is going to do. You cannot control how they should behave. All you can control is what you accept, what you're
Exactly.
willing to take.
Yeah.
And also, you have full autonomy to stay there or to
Mhm.
leave.
Yeah.
So if you stay there, seeing the signs, whether you choose to believe it or not, or you choose to tell yourself a different narrative,
Yeah.
you have to be accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable for that.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
No. And let me just tell you, you're consistent. There's a consistent one thing I've noticed with you is that number one, you will give the medicine, even if it's bitter, you're gonna give the truth, and that's necessary. And I don't think you realize that how important that is, right? Just hearing the truth and hearing
Mm.
someone tell you the truth from a like they want the best for you kind of perspective. So I really hope the listeners are taking this in. And you said something in the Before the One series as well, where you said that I think self awareness or like kind of holding yourself accountable is one of the key things. And you've been consistent with that message all across
Yeah.
board. And I feel like genuinely as grown adults, as mature adults, that's where we should be at, where you take responsibility for your own self. Not saying
Mhm.
that you can't control what someone else does. What you can do is control yourself and how you move and make certain movements to either guard your heart, protect your peace of mind,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, right? So I
Yeah.
really love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna segue a little bit into more practical steps, right? So we've spoken about you've laid down kind of what your expectations are, you found
Yeah.
this person, you've been found, you guys have spoken. So now you're now trying to navigate into uh the promised land, so to speak, right? Having a relationship or walking through this thing called life, right? So, what are some tips or strategies that you have um, to kind of help people navigate that, right? So, what are some of the important conversations you should be having? Number one, how should, and everyone's relationship is different, right? I'm not expecting you to give, okay, this is how you should do it, but just general guidelines for someone who's going to be celebrating 10 years. You've kind of walked that path, right? So you know from a marriage perspective, these are the things that will actually set you up for success. So when you're building your relationships, these are the things that you should be preparing, laying the foundation, the groundwork. If you also want to reach that 10-year mark, that and beyond and all of that, right? So kind of what are your tips and strategies for things we should lay foundationally in building
Mhm.
a relationship to make sure that it's successful, that it's thriving, that
Yeah.
both members of that relationship are fulfilled pretty much.
So are we talking about we are now in a relationship or we're still talking and about to get into a relationship? Just to confirm.
Ooh. Can you do both? Can
We
we?
can.
Let's
We
do
can.
both. Yeah, you people, you're so lucky. And like, I'm just, oh,
We
let's do
can.
both.
Okay.
Thank
So if you're still talking,
you. Mhm.
I mean, some of the answers can probably still be the same to be fair. If you're still talking and navigating into a relationship, I think something that would help is being or adding value to the person
Mm.
you're talking.
Okay.
And as part of your conversation, what you want to do in the very, very early stage is figure out what matters to them a lot or the most, what they're trying to do in life,
Mm.
where they're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you're talking to someone that's not trying to get anywhere, that's probably not a friend.
That's the
that's
first problem.
that's a red flag. So you decide where you want to go, but find out what they want to do with life. Find out what their goals are, their dreams,
Mm.
and this is it's not an interview thing. It's just if you're talking to someone. I mean, if you're dating, you should be talking regularly, right? So this is just things you drop in life. Don't obviously not the question, not that question of where do you see yourself in 5 years time, like an interview. Yeah. Um, yeah, but it's just if like just if money wasn't an object, if you had no restrictions, what would
Mm.
you do? Where would
What
you
would
be?
you
Like
do?
just
Mm.
little, things like that. It doesn't have to be worded like that, but something similar. And just sort of see
Yeah.
what they say.
Mm.
And that's what's important to them. Now, how can you add value to them, right?
Mm.
Or their present situation, if there's something they're struggling with, how do you add value? I'll give you an example. One of my guys, if I need the wife first, but of course, when they got married, I'm close to him now as well. Um, they they've been married. They've been married longer than I am, maybe 12 years now or so. But when they met, he wasn't working. He didn't have it. He had just finished his masters. He didn't have a job, and she would help him write his CV, right?
Mm.
And it was something as little as that made him confirm. I'm sure there are other things, but it was one of the things that made him confirm that this woman wants the best
Mm. To
for
succeed.
me, and that was one of the deciding factors for him to say, this is the woman for me. And of course, now he's doing well and whatnot. Um, she could have been, you don't have a job, you're a useless guy. I mean, some people would. You don't
Mm.
have a job, you're not the right person for me.
Mm.
Like just little things like that. I'm not saying, please, I'm not saying go and marry somebody go and base that's people that doesn't have a job. That's not the message. The
Please, so
message
disclaimer, oh, I beg.
the message is look at where that person is, see where you can add value. It's not something that she didn't pay, she just helped with the CV. Now there's even chat GPT. So it's not
Mhm.
don't go and give somebody money, don't borrow money, don't go and get a car in your name for somebody. That's not the kind of value I'm talking about. Things that would
Yeah.
not necessarily cost you,
Yeah.
but means a lot to them, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something to pay attention to, because when you're adding value to, and I say this a lot, when you're adding value to somebody, they see you more as an asset. Nobody tries to get rid of assets because
Yeah.
you're seen as somebody that can make my life better. Whether consciously or subconsciously, we are all looking to be with somebody that can make our lives better. When people talk about I need to date a guy that's earning six figures, when men are saying I need to date a woman that's this or that, it's all to make our lives better.
Yes.
So when you're talking to somebody and you're looking for that relationship, be thinking, what can I bring to make this person's life better? That's one. Or that's so long talking about that. But the other thing also is, how do I better myself?
Mm.
How do I get better? See, attraction is a funny thing. There's attraction, of course, physically. That's what drew you to them. Then there's another attraction beyond that, which is your character, your personality, the way you come across, how personable, how likable you come across, how do other people see you. These things matter. There are some people that just really, I am who I am, I don't care. This is who I am. I don't need to change. And that's you have to invest in yourself, because the better you are, as a person, the
Mm.
more value you can bring into a relationship with somebody else.
Agreed.
Everyone, I think I saw a quote a long time. People are so concerned about finding the right person, they forget about becoming the right person. If
Ooh.
you are not the right person,
Mm.
even if you meet the right person, you mess it up.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's you have to keep pouring into yourself.
Mm.
Um, Pay attention to your character, your attitude, the way you come across, the things
Mm.
you feed your mind with.
Mhm.
And this is, I'm not speaking just to women, I'm speaking for both parties, both men and women. The
Yeah.
things you feed your mind with. I know as men, we want to get money and all of this stuff, but
Mhm.
money doesn't change the fact that you can be abusive. Money doesn't change the fact that you've got anger
Mhm.
problems. Money doesn't change the fact that, you know, you just don't know how to hold a conversation. You're poor communicating. These are
Yeah.
things that will show itself up. And it could be the difference between somebody saying, this is somebody I want to do life with, and this is just somebody that's just good for me to talk to for now. But there's no way I'm taking this person to my parents or taking this person around my friends.
Mm.
I think
Mm.
just to sort of reduce it because of time, I think those are two essential things that will always stand you in good stead in your talking
Yeah.
stage and looking to find a relationship.
Mm.
Um, and when you are in a relationship, both those two things still stand. You have
Mhm.
to continue adding value.
Yeah.
You have to continue being better.
Mhm.
And something I should also say in terms of being better is visit your. I don't like using the word trauma, but visit
Mm.
those things that your toxic traits.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't sort of mirror check ourselves,
Mm.
and we always is a lot of we think we're good,
Mm.
and the other
Mhm.
person is the problem. I think
Mm.
I'm fine. I look good. I've worked on my communication skill. I'm the best communicator ever. So if there's ever an issue with communication, it must be you. It must be you that don't know how to talk. It's you that don't listen. It's you that don't have the right tone. You know,
Oh Lord.
and that's why self-awareness is so important. So
Yeah.
important. If you have to see a therapist, do it.
Yeah.
I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to speak with a professional, talk with a professional. It's not because you have a problem or there's something wrong with you, but just somebody feedback is
Mhm.
a mirror through which you see yourself. And
Yeah.
also friends that can tell you the truth, but not all friends know the truth. And
Yeah.
once again, these things apply in a relationship.
Mm.
When you're in a relationship, those things apply. Of course, accountability is something else. Once again, I guess as a matter of fact, there's probably no need to even divide it because those things sort of go in both ways.
Yeah. Interchangeable. Yeah.
Accountability. So just holding yourself accountable before you point the finger, ask
Mm.
yourself, what was my role in the situation?
Yeah.
It helps.
Mm.
And this is not it's not so much a destination, it's a journey.
Mm.
I'm still working
Mm.
on accountability.
Yeah. Mm.
I'm still working on communication.
Mm.
I've been in it for 10 years.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
it's no there's no perfect person.
Mhm.
There's no perfect person, there's no perfect relationship. You just have to
Mm.
keep working. It's when you choose not to be accountable, when you choose not to hold yourself accountable or put a mirror on yourself and see where you can get better. I think that's where the issue is. It's not so much about before I get married, I must be this perfect person. It can never happen.
Mm.
Always growing,
Yeah.
evolving, and there's always something to learn. When you're in a relationship, you see some side of yourself that you didn't know existed. Even gets worse when you get married. There will be so
Oh,
many sides of you that you didn't know existed. You think you're a good communicator. You think you're good at communicating. You get married, you realize that, oh my God,
oh
you
my
can't
gosh.
communicate properly. So think, yeah, those are some things I would say we should work. And something came to my head just now, and I think it's just dropped that. Okay, if I remember as we're talking, I'll bring it back up. But yeah,
Yeah.
those are just few things I feel
Mm.
like we have to continue to
Mm.
work on. I mean, there are other things that, but I don't think they necessarily apply to dating like that. Things like managing differences when you're in a
Mm.
relationship. Depending on the kind of relationship you have, you might not
Yeah.
really see differences like that because it's
Yeah.
when we get to relationship, like boyfriend, girlfriend, it's
Mm-hmm.
new, exciting. Things like
Yeah.
differences don't come up as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you start living together and you start to see, and the honeymoon phase go finishes, that's when you start to see differences. But we don't. A lot of times we don't see that
Mm.
in the boyfriend girlfriend stage. Even when you see the differences, it's cute. It's not annoying. People, oh my god, oh my
Oh,
god, I
so
like the fact that I'm
adorable.
quiet and he's loud. I like the fact that they outgoing and I stay in. We complement each other. But when you get married, that same thing probably annoy you. But let's 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 not go all the way there.
I'm done. Yo, that is, and you know, when you were talking, the title came to me. I think the title that will probably be for this episode would be Becoming One. So we spoke about
Okay.
before the one, right? So
Yeah.
now we're talking about becoming one, the process of the both of you coming together and, hopefully coming to a committed relationship that leads to marriage and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything that was spoken about kind of wraps around that. And because I want to try and see if you can remember that one thing that came to your mind too. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, every,
It's fun.
every
Let's keep going.
let's keep going. Okay, everything that you shared has just been so enlightening and honestly very inspiring. And I also think not to downplay, like it's a lot of work, in dealing with emotions and, dealing with your emotions, but also dealing with someone else's emotions. It's a lot. It's a lot of work. And I can't even imagine, you know, the process of going through that. But that's why it's also good to renew your mind. That's why you have things like this to give you the strategies. These are foundation. This is some wisdom that if you choose to, you can apply. Right? If it works for you, that's great. If not, well then find what does work for you, pretty much. Right? So yeah. All right. So I guess I'll kind of just round things off. I don't want to take
Just
any
one
more of your.
second. Just one second.
Yes.
Just based on what you just said just now, that it's a lot of work. It can be.
Mm,
I don't think relationships are always straightforward because you're dealing with another human being when you're in it. And human
yeah.
beings are complex, right?
Very.
But because it's work does not
Mm,
mean it cannot be fun, or does not mean it shouldn't be fun. Of course, when we're speaking about it from this perspective in terms of practicality, it
mm,
sounds very strenuous, like yeah.
legit.
But
Yeah.
really and truly, if you have the right person with you, it
Mm,
it is a beautiful thing. Um, Relationship is, I think it's a God ordained thing. Two heads. I mean, two heads are better than one. Bible says one which is 1,000, two which is 10,000. So it's
come on.
it's it's whether by nature or nurture, we're supposed to be with someone. It's just finding that right person and being that right person. And once you do that, it's not to say you wouldn't have issues. It's not to say you wouldn't argue or you wouldn't
Yeah.
fight. It doesn't mean you wouldn't even feel like breaking up sometimes or leaving the person. It's just that you just know that you have this person and it would work out. And that's the beauty of it. The things both of you go through and
Mm,
get through to the next stage. And that
mm,
is the beauty of relationship. So
yeah.
I don't want people thinking, yeah, this is just
Mm.
it's it's
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And I stand by that. Relationship is work. Marriage is even more work.
Mm,
Um, but that doesn't mean it's not enjoyable. It doesn't mean it's just always chaos. It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yes.
just doing what is needed to get it
Mm,
right and
mm,
what you have to do to keep it right, if that
come
makes
on.
sense. So,
Yes, doing what
yeah.
is needed to get it right and what you gotta do to keep it right. Did you catch that? I caught it. I caught it. Oh no, no, like oh my gosh. When they said love is a beautiful thing, it really is. It really, really is. And Ah, God, I can't wait. No, but honestly, it's and you know, you see the narrative all the time. You know that, you know, love is good, it's nice, marriage and all of that, it's all sweet, right? But sometimes when you're so far off from it, you know, way to guard your
Mm.
heart is just okay. Think about the hard stuff, think about the difficult stuff, so that you don't start to feel like, oh, woe is me. When will it happen? You know. But no, I definitely agree, and I love that you ended it on that note. That it really truly is a beautiful thing for someone that is seasoned in it, that has, you know, you've been in it for, you know, so you're celebrating 10 years, by the way. Happy anniversary in advance.
Thank you.
This is probably going to come out in May, so I'll try and find when the anniversary is, and I'll be like, happy anniversary. So you know, and these are things that, these are nuggets that have sustained you through the years, so we don't take it for granted that you're sharing that with us. And yeah, so we have come to the end of this episode. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. You know, if I had my way, I'd be like, should be a standing something, maybe every 2 2 months, just love talk. I'll leave that with you, and you
Just
know,
shout me anytime. Anytime. Yeah, just shout me. We work on the timing.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
but
Because
yeah,
I
just let me know.
Thank you so much, Mr. Josh Love Talk, for coming on the podcast once again. So, if you haven't listened to the first installment of the series, we had the Before the One series. So, go check that out on the podcast. Now, we're talking about the coming one. So, this is talking about kind of navigating through the process of the talking stage, and then hopefully getting into a committed relationship. So, as always, you can connect with Mr. Josh Love Talk on.
At Josh underscore Love Talk on Instagram or YouTube, Josh Love Talk.
Yes, yes, that's amazing. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Until the next
Thanks for having
time.
me. Next time. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.